Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Monday, June 6, 2016.
Commissioner Rodriguez, James, Reed Penning, and Ascento are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Tim Tyson, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Eddie Chavez with the Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Hassan Rod, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Reza Shamirzadi, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment, nor any of the items for today's agenda.
Okay, let's go ahead and close general public comment. A couple of administrative items. Agenda item number 5, United Steel Placers Incorporated has transmitted a stop notice in the amount of $589,746.11 in connection with the Riverside Drive Viaduct Replacement over Los Angeles River Project. The contractor is Flatiron West Incorporated. Is there a second to my motion that we receive agenda item number 5 forthwith by Commissioner Rodriguez? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 4, specifications have been submitted for board adoption and authorization to advertise for the invitation of bids in Council District 8 and 15 for secondary sewer renewal program 718B Imperial Highway and Avalon Boulevard project. The estimate's $2,119,360. The bid receipt date is July 20th, 2016. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 4 forthwith? By Commissioner Rodriguez. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 3, the parties have requested that we continue one additional time the relocation assistance appeal from Bellcraft Office Furniture Incorporated related to the 6th Street Viaduct Seismic Improvement Project. And I do have an internal email regarding the requested continuances to provide time to allow the appellant to provide additional information that the city requires to approve the relocation claims that are outstanding in order to pay those relocation claims. The Bureau is working with the appellant, and they believe that the matter may be resolved and the appeal withdrawn if we continue the item to Wednesday, June 29th. That would be my recommendation. Any objection? Okay, without objection, Commissioner Ascento seconds that to the extent we need it, and that'll be the order. Agenda item number 1, Bureau of Engineering for Council District 13, recommending that the board authorize $100,000 in additional contingency and approve a revised construction budget of $330,000 and authorize the city engineer to issue multiple change orders to Matthew and Stewart Company Incorporated for a differing site condition due to groundwater and to change the scope of work in connection with the super expedited wastewater emergency rehabilitation for sewers Silver Lake Boulevard project. Mr. Ventura.
Good morning, Commissioners and Bureau Representatives. I'm David Ventura, the Acting Group Leader for Sewers 5, Bureau of Engineering's Wastewater Construction Division. I'm here to request additional funds for the Sewers 5 Silver Lake Boulevard project. The original scope of this project was to abandon an existing sewer line and to install 303 linear feet of new 12-inch sewer. Using the contractor's bid items to determine the low bidder, the city awarded the work to Matthew and Stewart Company in the amount of $80,000 or $80,474. During the site visit, it was proposed to adjust the new sewer in order to avoid interference from the existing curb. Therefore, a revised construction order amounting to $78,573 was issued. It was also determined that multiple traffic lanes would need to be closed in order to perform the work. The contractor contacted LADOT and was told to submit a site-specific traffic control plan since the high volume of vehicular traffic would be affected. So it was decided to perform the work at night to reduce the impact on traffic. On February 19, 2016, the board approved a revised construction budget of $230,000 for this project. The contractor began work on April 12, 2016. During construction, groundwater was encountered at the downstream maintenance hole. The engineer directed the contractor to perform additional exploratory potholing along the remainder of the reach and found that it was only present within the first 30 feet. 2 soil borings were performed for the project prior to construction, and no groundwater was encountered. Therefore, it was a differing site condition that impacted construction activities. The engineer directed the contractor to submit a proposal for the delay costs and change the scope to install 2 maintenance holes and to use cured-in-place pipe to rehabilitate the sewer. Due to the urgent nature of the work, emergency authorization to issue change orders for not to exceed total cost of $151,500 was requested and approved by the BOE liaison on May 4th. The engineer is still negotiating a lump sum cost agreement for the extra work. The total cost of the revised construction order, $78,573, plus the change order number 1 for $98,317,100, is $176,890. Since the revised authorized construction budget is $230,000, the remaining contingency of $53,000 is insufficient for the estimated $151,500 for the extra work and differing site condition. It is therefore requested to authorize $100,000 in additional contingency to approve the revised construction budget of $330,000 for the Sewers 5 Silver Lake project. It is also requested to the city engineer to issue multiple change orders for the Sewers 5 Silver Lake project for the extra work and delay costs due to the groundwater. There is no impact on the general fund. Additional funding is in the amount of $100,000 is available in the sewer capital fund. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Ventura, for the report. Any questions at all on agenda item number 1? I don't have any. The board report was helpful as well. Commissioner Cento has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Any issue sending it forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 2, Bureau of Contract Administration. Bureau of Engineering requested contract acceptance for Council District 15, Terminal Island Water Reclamation Plant Headworks Facility Improvement Project completed by Stanek Constructors Incorporated. Chris?
Good morning, Chris Smith, Bureau of Contract Administration. This project was awarded by the board on February 25th, 2013, and project was completed June 29th, 2015. The contractor was Stanek Constructors. This project consisted of improvements to the headworks system at the Terminal Island plant. That is the screening facility where the flow first comes into the plant, just basically removes all the large solids out of it. The outreach requirements of the contract were satisfied. There was no PLA on this contract, and there are no unresolved property or financial issues. The Bureau recommends acceptance.
Any questions at all on agenda item number 2? I don't have any questions on number 2. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 2? By Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Thank you, Chris. Before we do agenda item number 6, is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Monday, May 16th, 2016 by Commissioner Rodriguez? Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 6, we have an oral report, our quarterly from the Bureau of Street Services on our city trees. Mr. Tyson. Good morning, sir.
Morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Executive Officer. A little bit of a continuation from the last quarterly report that I was here. I've just kind of updated the different topics that I spoke about last time and a couple others. Hiring right now, we've gone from 104 employees to 112. We picked up 5 tree surgeons, and we still need 15 more. So right now we're working with personnel to re-administer the tree surgeon exam to get a new list certified so that we can pick up these extra tree surgeons. We've also hired 2 new superintendent 1s and also a superintendent 2, which is the division manager. And we just need to keep pushing forward. We're putting out for tree surgeon assistants right now. And also we're working with the LACC Trade Tech, and they're going to be doing some tree surgeon assistant positions, it's going to be called, where we'll actually give them on-the-job training and hopefully fill some of the tree surgeon assistant positions with assistant assistants until they can be certified. As far as the B permits go and the Parsons team, right now, the Parsons team have 7 reports with the Bureau of Engineering that are ready to be finalized so that we can get them and bring them to board. So this would bring them up to somewhere around 11 or 12 reports that they've completed. They've been doing the large projects that we have with the B permits or subdivision cases where they're very large projects downtown here. A lot of CEQA language involved with what may be under the street, what may be environmental impacts, all these different things. And right now, I just kind of like to urge the board to keep them involved as we are parallel working at the same time on the private property protected tree reports. And we're working on those and starting to, we'll be bringing them to board real soon. So there should be somewhere in the liking of 10 to 12 reports in the next 3 weeks that we should be bringing to board. Currently with the sidewalk repair program, bid package 21 had 10 locations that required 12 tree removals. And that's been completed. Bid package 17, which involved 26 locations, only required 1 dead tree removal and 1 live tree removal. So we're looking at these very carefully, trying to save trees everywhere we can, and all the trees are being replanted. Other locations that were impacted received bid package 18, which has 19 locations that we are currently going to be working on the next big package to keep ahead of special projects so that they can continue to fix the sidewalks in an expedited manner. As far as the hiring goes, we also bring our new hires in and we do a new employee orientation and we give them safety training so that we can send them out to the crews, and then in another month or 2 they will be coming back in for the annual safety training which all crews go through every year to keep us in Cal OSHA compliance. On the $500,000 on-demand funding, which is where every council district received $33,333 of that $500,000. At this time, we've estimated the amount of that we've expended is $431,000, and we have trimmed 2,697 trees, which is right now an average of $160 per tree. And we do expect to meet our goal by the end of the month and have all the money expended. Contracts, we were really hoping to have already been back here before you and have them awarded. There is one that is ready, the PICO contract. We have 6 others that are in their final review, and we have one that has a tie bid, which has to be decided on how that's going to be awarded. With the 15-16 landscape maintenance contracts, they came in very, very high. We've approached the current contractors to see if they would extend their bids or extend the work that we currently have right now. We're waiting for one reply back from one of the contractors. The other said they would consider it, and the other one had to go back to the main office to get some questions answered and answer some questions that the main office had. So we should find out that information today. And we're still looking at what we're going to be doing. I think we're talking about rescinding the bids and starting over, or how that may be. Ted?
Well, one thing we might consider, Tim, depending on our own in-house estimates, and Mr. Jordan can let me know if I start to get into territory I shouldn't get into at this point. But those bids are in place. The board has the option, if we decide with the Bureau, to rescind all bids. One thing we can consider is talking to the Bureau about what it costs to do it with our own city forces.
Correct.
And find an avenue going down that path. So we have a number of options, but it is at the front of mind right now because it's work that we need done, obviously.
Correct. Today, with our measured emergency response time on normal weather conditions. Our response time for the first response to secure the location is 4 hours. Our completion under normal weather condition is just a little over 3 days. So we're doing really well with our main function, which is emergency-related service for the constituents of the city. Another line that's really helping a lot, which I touched base on last time I was before you, was the technology and the new tablets and the implementation and how it's really boosting our abilities. And so we are getting more tablets to ensure that we can outfit more of the supervisors with those and keep the training level up so that we can do everything in a much more expedited manner as far as administratively with all the tablets in the field, and they can check right where they are immediately looking at an inspection and go, has there any just popped up recently right around where I'm at, and go right there and get those before they go to another area to do more inspections. And basically that's what I have for you today, if there's any questions.
Okay, Commissioner Rodriguez. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Tim. How are we doing? Are we all caught up on all of the emergency tree requests that we had in the last windstorm? Have we caught up on all of those, or?
We're very close to having, we were last week, I checked, we had 80 locations on the ground that we were still picking up from the last emergencies, and then we have our normal,
Right.
but
In
I mean,
addition
yeah,
to
pretty much we're caught up from the last onslaught of the one emergency that we had recently.
Okay.
Storm
Yeah,
related.
because I've seen still just throughout the San Fernando Valley, I've seen a number of locations that are still, I've explained to a number of residents the implications the winds had just to our regular workload. But in addition to that, I know it's just juggling all of those priorities at once with the very limited staffing that we have. So just wondered if we were, how close we were, and I think if I could get a report back on that more specifically, because particularly in the San Fernando Valley, I know we had, especially in the Porter Ranch area where the winds could be severe in a lot of our hillsides. It's an area that I know we want to remedy very quickly. So would really appreciate if we could just try and identify where we've got some of the more outstanding issues at play.
Absolutely, I'll get a report back to you today.
Thank you.
And just to touch a note on that, with the new budget request that was submitted, where we're going to get 2 more large crews, mechanized crews. Most of the time, the jobs that end up setting are large jobs because it takes this larger crew to pick up the size of trees and have the big equipment. And I only have 2 of those crews, one for each side of the Mulholland Drive, so to speak, one metro and one in the valley. And so sometimes the large locations sit a little longer than the small ones because we have numerous little small crews that can go around and pick those up readily. And I'll get you a report on what we have out there currently that's on the ground and get that back to you today.
Thank you so much.
Great, thank you, Tim. Anything further? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Executive Officer, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have,
With the
President
exception
James.
of an adjourning motion.
And before that adjourning motion, just to, for the record, we did not receive any comment cards under the Neighborhood Council comment section as well.
Oh, under the new ordinance.
This is under
That's
the
right.
new ordinance effective
So you'll be reporting
June 4th.
you'll be reporting at the beginning of each meeting?
It will take some getting used to, but I will.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Campos. So with that record clear, Commissioner Davis.
Members of the board and members of our various departments, I adjourn today in memory of a great American, Muhammad Ali, who was an athlete, boxer, philanthropist, and as you know, he passed last week, and I wanted to pay a tribute to him. Our mayor, Eric Garcetti, on his website, remembered Muhammad Ali when he was president of our city council. He honored him, and he also talked about his daughter, May May, who worked here in our gang reduction program as well. Muhammad Ali was great not only because of his work as an athlete, but because of the things that he stood for in his life. He was born as Cassius Clay in Louisville, Kentucky. He really started his career because someone stole his bicycle, and he happened to have discussed with the police officer by the name of Joe Martin that his bicycle had been stolen, and he wanted to know what to do with it. And the police officer told him, "You need to learn to fight." And it just so happened that Mr. Martin, Officer Martin, was a fighter during his youth, so he taught him how to fight. And in 1954, as a result of the training, he was able to win his first fight under the direction of the officer, and he also went on to win the 1956 Golden Gloves for boxing 2 years later, and also, as you know, he won the Olympics as our boxing champion for America. But one of the critical, important things in his life was really outside of the ring. During the time in which he experienced his success in boxing was in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement, and we as a country were fighting in Vietnam. And so he personally was opposed to it. He had transformed from Christianity to the Muslim faith, and based upon his religion at the time, fighting was not a core value of his religion. And as the Constitution provides, we have to recognize not only the race and gender rights of individuals, but we have to equally recognize the religious rights. And so he opposed going to the war, and in the court, the appellate court in Houston, had convicted him that he was a draft dodger. And so he went on to the Supreme Court, which turned over that decision and ruled in his behalf. And so from that, people began to, whether they agreed with his position or not, began to respect him as not only a great athlete, but a person who was committed to his own convictions in this country. One of the critical things about it was that there were a group of national athletes who came together trying to convince him it was the American patriotic thing to go to war. But the interesting thing about that meeting is that they didn't convince Ali to go to war. Ali convinced them that war was not appropriate. Because during the time African Americans were going through their own self-identity of trying to be accepted in this country, trying to be included in this country, and Ali said, "Hey, these are not the guys that are calling me the N-word over in Vietnam. They don't even know me. I don't know them. So why should I go over and be against them?" So in summary, when we look at his life, it was certainly one that was reflective of excellence as an athlete on one hand, but also it was a life of dedication and commitment to his personal convictions, which is a part of the American dream as well, on the other hand. And I will just end with one of the many great statements that he always made that was inspirational to all Americans, and that was, on occasion, a wise man can be a fool, but a fool can never be a wise man. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. It's wonderful as always. I would only add one thing regarding Muhammad Ali's legacy in the city of Los Angeles, and that was Muhammad Ali's commitment to many communities around the country, but his special commitment to the city of Los Angeles, in particular to inner city youth, but also in ways that were not obviously directly connected to Muhammad Ali as people would expect. He gave oftentimes anonymously to charities around the country. And it was only later that you would find out sometimes a sizable donation was actually made by Muhammad Ali, and he never wanted that confirmed. He always wanted it to be maintained in an anonymous way. And they were charities that were important to the community, but he didn't want any any special recognition for it. I always thought that was something very unique and special about him as well. Thank you. With that, we are adjourned.